This is note taker 35 on biomes. A biome, or biomes, are areas on this earth that have similar climate and their animals and plants have similar adaptations for living there. The earth is actually broken down into 6 land biomes and 2 water biomes, and we'll be looking at each of them throughout this note taker along with some pictures. The first biome I'm going to talk about today is going to be the rainforest. The rainforest is characterized by having the highest amount of annual rainfall, more than any of our other biomes. Also, your rainforest has more plant and animal species than any other biome on Earth. You're going to find rainforests on land masses that are near equator, the equatorial belt, and a lot of your animals here, your smaller ones, will actually live up in the treetops for protection against predators. And a lot of your plants, your flowers, also grow in treetops because no sunlight reaches the ground here. Here is a drawing of a rainforest, and on the following slide I have some examples of animals from the rainforest. Here are some animals that would live in the rainforest. Starting at the top left, I'm going to go clockwise. Top left we have the toucan. Top right we have a parrot, and you can see they're very colorful birds. Beneath the parrot we have a leopard living up in a tree. Below him, termites. On the bottom left we have a giant anteater, and then in the middle on the left we have a tree frog. The next biome is the deciduous forest biome. Rainfall here is anywhere from 75 to 200 centimeters per year. Temperatures can range from below 0 to above, say, 40 degrees Celsius. Most of your deciduous forests have been cleared for farming in cities, and the way to recognize a deciduous forest biome is named for the deciduous trees. Deciduous trees have leaves that change color and fall off of the tree during the autumn. Your deciduous forest also has 4 distinct seasons: spring, summer, winter, and fall. Here's a picture of a deciduous forest. And here are some animals that live in the deciduous forest. The top left we have a cardinal, which also happens to be our state bird. Top right we have a white-tailed deer. Below that, a possum. Bottom right we have a raccoon. Bottom left, a bear, nice little black bear. And then in the middle on the left we have a rabbit. Now these animals should look very familiar to you because the deciduous biome is the biome that you live in. The next biome we're going to talk about is the desert. The desert is going to be our driest of all the biomes, less than about 10 centimeters of rain per year. You can have very, very cold temperatures at night below freezing, and during the day it can get very, very hot. So there is that wide range of temperature from daytime to nighttime. Now your plants and animals living in the desert have to be adapted to living with very little water. So your plants are going to have widespread root systems to be able to get water. They're going to have the waxy coating to keep water in, to keep the water from transpiring out. And a lot of your cactus will also have pleats, which are like little folds. That way when it does rain, the cactus can actually grow in size as it absorbs water, so that it can spread out, so that it can store more. Your animals here are adapted to the life in the desert. Most of them are nocturnal, which means they're active at night, so they're active during a cooler time. Here is a picture of a desert biome. And here are some organisms that live in the desert. On the top left, we have a roadrunner. Beep, beep. On the top right, we have a scorpion. Middle right, a hare, which is the longer, slender version of a rabbit. On the bottom right, we have the Gila monster, which is one of our 2 poisonous lizards in the world. On the bottom left, we have an armadillo. And then in the middle on the left, we have a bat. And the bat is flying above a cactus flower, as bats are one of the pollinators. And in the center, I have a picture of a cactus. The next land biome would be the taiga, also called the coniferous forest. And if you remember when we were talking about plants, your coniferous trees are the ones that have the needles. They're your evergreens, and a lot of them produce cones. Your rainfall in your taiga is going to be relatively mild. It's anywhere from 30 to 85 centimeters per year. Temperatures here can range from -35 all the way to 20 degrees Celsius. Your ground here is wet and often very foggy. Your growing season, it lasts anywhere between 3 and 6 months, usually on the shorter end of that. The rest of the year is going to be winter, and it's going to be a very harsh winter. So most of your animals are going to be inactive, they're going to be hibernating, and thank goodness your trees have those needles. The waxy coating on the needles helps to prevent freezing, but the shape of the needles also helps snow slide off of the tree to prevent the branches from breaking. Here is a picture of a coniferous forest biome, again also called the taiga. And here are some of the organisms that live here. Up in the top left you have a moose, top right we have a grizzly bear, middle right is a lynx, bottom right is a wolf, bottom left is the Arctic hare, and you're going to find that you're going to see the Arctic hare in the taiga, but you can also find them in the tundra biome. Middle left is a little weasel, and in the center is a picture of some evergreen trees. The tundra biome is actually going to be very dry, sort of like a desert. Actually, tundras can also be called frozen deserts because of the lack of precipitation. Now, when it does precipitate here, it's usually frozen precipitation, snow. The temperature here is extremely cold. The ground stays frozen year-round, so we call it permafrost because it's permanently frozen, and this limits what can live there. Because the ground is permanently frozen, your plant life is going to be mostly low-growing mosses and grasses. Bushes and trees can't grow here because their roots cannot penetrate down through the frozen soil. Most of your animals that live here are going to have a white coloring for camouflage, and during the harshest part of the year, they will either hibernate, sleep through winter, or they will actually migrate to a little area that's a little bit warmer that has food that they can live off of. Here's a picture of a tundra biome. And here are some of the animals that live in the tundra. Top left we have a walrus. Top middle we have a penguin. Top right we have a caribou, also called a reindeer. Below the reindeer we have the musk oxen. At the bottom center we have our polar bears, and at the bottom left we have our Arctic fox. The last land biome would be your grasslands. Here the rainfall is anywhere from 25 to 100 centimeters per year. And the problem with this rainfall is that it is very unpredictable. You can go long periods of time with very dry conditions, and then all of a sudden you'll have monsoon-like rains. Temperatures here can range from below 0 to about 50 degrees Celsius, depending on which grasslands we're discussing. The grasslands are going to be found on the interiors of almost all of your continents, and you're going to be able to recognize them because you're going to see large herds of grazing animals. Here is an example of a grassland area. This would be a savanna in Africa. And here are some of our grassland animals. We have zebras, giraffes. Top right would be your groundhogs or prairie dogs. In the middle right would be antelopes. Bottom right, elephant. And your bottom left, which we would find here in the U.S., would be your bison or your buffalo. The saltwater biome is one of 2 water biomes that we have on Earth. Your salt water is going to cover about 75% of the Earth's surface. Organisms that live in your saltwater biome are actually adapted to be able to tolerate the salt that is in the water. The majority of the life in our saltwater biome is actually going to live near the surface of the water or close to coastlines. And estuaries, like our Chesapeake Bay, are where saltwater and freshwater meet. So fresh water comes down from the rivers and your salt water comes in from the ocean, and they actually mix together. So our Chesapeake Bay, which again is an estuary, is a mixture of salt and fresh water. It is salty, but not quite as salty as the ocean water is. This picture represents our saltwater biome. And some of the animals in our saltwater biome, starting at top center, would be a sea anemone, top right, jellyfish, middle right would be coral, bottom right is a shark, bottom center is going to be a whale, left bottom is a crab, and top left will be a sea turtle. Freshwater is going to be our last biome that we're going to talk about, and your freshwater is going to consist of still water like your lakes and ponds, moving water like your streams, rivers, and creeks, and I also mentioned here swamps and marshes. Swamps and marshes become very important because they're like sponges. The land there is very spongy, so they act as great buffers for floods. So they're great to actually keep around if you have cities and stuff that you're building and you have marshlands nearby. You don't want to destroy those marshlands because that's actually a very important ecosystem to have there. A lot of your organisms are going to be able to actually hold on to rocks or maybe live under rocks to avoid being washed away if they live in fast flowing water. And of all the fresh water that is on our earth, less than 1% of fresh water is usable. Most of the fresh water on our earth is actually frozen in glaciers. Here's an example of a freshwater biome. And here are some of the animals that you would find in a freshwater biome. Top middle would be a heron. Top right would be a crayfish. Middle right is a little river otter. Bottom right, alligator. Bottom left, frog. Middle left, piranha. And our top left would be a duck. Please don't forget to complete the 3-question assessment that follows the video. And I want to say congratulations to my class for finishing your last note taker of the year.